What's up, everybody? Drasko here from 10knorm.com, where the main focus of what we do here is we help coaches normalize a 10K per month business by focusing on the mindset and the emotional challenges before we focus on stabilizing that with consistent and prudent marketing. What we do here is every time I release an episode, I have notes, I have additional resources, bonuses, worksheets, a whole bunch of other extra stuff that comes with the actual episode, all of which you can download at 10knorm.com. So have a look-see there if you'd like to download some of the bonuses that come, not just with this episode, but with all the future episodes that will be here. And what we're going to discuss today is what is normalizing 10K months for coaches? Why is it even relevant? Why even speak about it? And more importantly, why don't we just talk about marketing? Okay. What you'll find as this show continues is while there will be, and I do have plans to release marketing stuff, at the end of the day, my focus isn't on the marketing up front, because that's what the problem is, in my opinion. You can't stabilize something that you don't normalize first. So here's a good example, right? So my background is from the fitness and weight loss space. I owned a brick and mortar weight loss center for 10 years, closed that down right before Corona started, moved into the online space. And through various different things, ended up here wanting to get back into coaching. And I was like, okay, well, I have the skill set. What is it that I do with it? And this is what I settled in for, because what I noticed is there really is no resource for new coaches that combines marketing with all of the mindset and emotional pieces of handling the day-to-day of growing to that 10K per month range. So in many ways, I'm creating the content and the course that I wish I had when I was in the brick and mortar space, when I was building my previous business, and in many ways documenting my own journey to now making this business hit that same run rate consistently. So it is very much a sharing of what I'm doing, as it is a teaching of the cumulative stuff that I've gone through, worked through, learned as I've gone through the many ups and downs of this journey. So starting with that, what does normalizing actually mean? Okay, so we can look at it as just a base definition, right? So the dictionary defines normalizing as bring or return to a normal or standard condition or state. Okay. And for those of you that are just listening to this, basically I'm going through my notes right now on the screen, so you can check that out on YouTube, or if you want to download all of the notes and additional resources, you can do that at 10knorm.com. Going back to normalizing though, bringing or returning to a normal or standard condition. Okay. So the condition of 10K months is an outcome that we want, but we as coaches need to bring that to fruition. I know it seems obvious. It's like, well, why am I like repeating that? Why am I going into detail for that? The big reason is I find many parallels in this goal, this condition, as I had in, weight loss and fitness. So most people know how to lose weight. Okay. Most of the people I work with. So we specialize in the studio at kind of the quote unquote harder cases of weight loss. This is people that have had perpetual issues with weight, that have had lifelong struggles with it, generally between 20 and 100 pounds, that wanted to basically lose that weight without giving up wine or chocolate. So basically a lifestyle solution. So many of these people, they had lost a whole bunch of weight repeatedly, right? It's like losing the same 20 pounds again and again. So most people didn't have a weight loss issue. What they had is a maintenance issue, right? They had the normalizing was the issue of their weight loss journey. Okay. The exact same thing is what I see in the marketing and in the business space. Okay. And why I focus on coaches is because I like coaching is something that just comes naturally to me. And I want to help other coaches with the stuff that I know, because I don't think this stuff is actually being put out into the world in a way that's as practical as it can be. So most coaches don't have a money-making problem as much as they have a stability problem, as much as they have a normalizing problem. And just like in weight loss, the issue, the main crux of the problem was never, how do I lose weight? It was, how do I think, act, and feel on a day-to-day basis in relation to my weight and food that actually allows that to just sustain. It allows it to be a habit. When it's a habit, it's normalized. Okay. On the weight loss side, it was separating emotions from food. On the business side of things, on the marketing side of things, it's actually separating the emotions from the outcome and managing the inevitable ups and downs of this entrepreneurial journey. That is the issue to solve, to actually normalize 10K months. So this whole project, this whole business, this whole content, this whole podcast is going to be my contribution to ensuring that new coaches have the resources to handle the crux of the issue, which is themselves, and then the marketing tactics actually become easy. Just like with diets, like every diet works, right? Keto works, paleo works, low carb works, high carb works, low fat works, high fat works, yet no diet actually works for everybody. So what's the difference? It's how you think, feel, and act about the actual stuff that you're eating. Same thing with marketing, right? You can start a Facebook group, you can do a podcast, you can create content, you can message people directly, you can do paid ads, no ads. Everything works, yet it doesn't work for everybody. So it's the exact same problem, and that's what we're going to be looking into. Okay, so as far as normalizing, that is kind of the base of how I view normalizing and why it is that we're actually diving into this. Okay, so to dive further into that, basically what we're going to break down is the math versus the drama. Okay, so the math of 10K months is actually pretty simple, right? Like you have a 2K program, you have to sell that 5 times a month, and like there it is, right? If 30% is your close rate, right, then it's pretty simple. What would that be? 15 people you have to like speak to close 5 of them, right? That's about 30%, yeah. If my math is correct. Right? So it's like the math isn't that hard, and to speak to 15, 20 people isn't that big of a deal. It just means what, like 40, 50 potential reach outs, like if you're going to do that. So if you do 2 a day, like just reach out 2 a day, just by virtue of the math, that is likely to get you where you want to be. So it's not hard as far as the math is concerned. What makes it hard is the drama. Okay. Again, I'm going to make a parallel to the weight loss example, right? You have your 3 meals a day. Everything else is drama, right? The snack I have between meals, the extra slice I grab, the extra bite I grab, the little pre-meal meal that I have, the little thing that I want to have while I'm watching a movie or whatever. Many times this is just drama, right? The extra wine glass that I have because I need to calm down, like all of that is drama. And you have your meals that you actually got to do. So the math is simple in the marketing piece. Everything else is drama. It's the drama that gets in the way of normalizing 10K months. And until you can handle the drama, nothing really is ever going to stick. or it's not going to stick happily, which I think is also the part that many times gets overlooked. So when it comes to the drama, what does that actually mean? So it's, in my opinion, it's everything that is in the way of making the 10K months happen, right? It could be your thoughts. So everything from your beliefs, so the false beliefs that you have, the beliefs and the lack of trust you might have in yourself, the beliefs that it's possible to make that amount as a coach, the belief it's possible for you to make that amount as a coach, any stories that don't serve you, all of the shoulds, like I should have a Facebook group, I should do a podcast, I should do paid ads, I should do whatever. All of that is drama, right? It keeps you from doing the simple math things day to day that can get you to move forward. Right? So that's one aspect of the drama. That is the thinking drama. There's the emotional drama, right? So the emotional notion we have to self-sabotage, right? I'm going to distract myself. I'm going to procrastinate. I'm going to get into these doom loops of the false beliefs and the shitty stories that we tell ourselves. The paralysis that can come from the fear, the doubt, the lack of confidence, the imposter syndrome of like, how can I teach this if I haven't solved this myself? All of that is drama, right? All of that just loops and loops and loops, gets you away from the math, which is fairly simple, right? And then the drama around the doing, right? The focused action towards the simple math, right? So how do I manage my time, right? Time management is something we have to talk about, but we don't talk about managing your energy, managing your production, managing the focus and the constraints of saying like the math is simple. So all I got to do is simple things. I got to keep this consistent, like 1 rep a day, right? Just again, going back to the weight loss. If you just did eat your meals, the math is simple. That'll get you the calorie deficit you need to make your goals a reality. But the drama gets in the way. So same thing as far as business, right? Normalizing 10K months. The things that you prioritize on are usually all out of whack. Maybe they're based on the shoulds. Maybe they're based on the fears and the lack of consistency, right? To do the simple math. So it's not what marketing tactic you're going to choose to do. It's let's handle the drama first. If we handle the drama first, it becomes easier to normalize what it is that we're looking to do. Then you have a base to stand on where you can stabilize with whatever marketing tactic you end up choosing, right? And in my programs, like we teach both, but the emphasis is on the normalizing. Why? Because at the end of the day, if you want to stabilize 10K months by doing live events, like I'm not going to be the one who teaches you how to do that because it's not my specialty, but I sure as hell can get you to normalize that level of income so that everything you're thinking, feeling, and doing on a day-to-day basis aligns with that, and then just a matter of how you want to execute it. So that is what this is all about. All right. So math versus drama. Definitely important part of stabilizing. Once you can solve the drama, the math becomes simple and the execution just becomes a matter of keeping the math consistent. Now, why is this hard? Okay, why is this hard? Why is this not talked about? So here's the thing. I think it is talked about, but I think it's talked about in a diluted fashion. So the reason is the drama is solved through healing. The math is solved through business. And we seldom, like where we do healing is seldom where we do business. And I think this is becoming more of the norm. Like you see a lot of individuals in like the spiritual type communities are starting to combine, being a soulpreneur and, doing the inner work to make the outer relevant. And I think that's great. And I think that's where we're all going to be heading. And in many ways, this is my contribution to that. But for the most part, you either really emphasize the healing and then some of the business stuff ends up being something that just comes with that, along with that, like in parallel at some point. Or you do a lot of the business stuff, and then some of the healing work is, in conjunction with that. It's, it's an insert somewhere. Like, you'll either have a module of healing in a business program, or you'll have a business module in a healing type program. One that emphasizes and focuses on both, I think, is going to become the norm. And like I said, this is my contribution to it. So that, I think, is the first problem, right? It's like we got to go to two different places, and then it's the onus is on us as the coach to kind of combine them in a way that's personalized to us. Like, I've learned all this marketing stuff and gotten the courses. I've done all this healing work. How do I combine it day to day? Okay. I think the support is diluted in that intersection. And that's what this whole little movement is going to be about for me. Okay. As I mentioned before, we don't have business problems. We have personal problems that show up in our business. So you don't have a marketing problem as much as you have a drama problem, right? If you had no concerns about getting up on a live and simply saying whatever it is you need to say, and you did that, twice a day, every day, like, you don't think that's going to get you some level of client and interest. It may not be, optimized and maximized for like marketing purposes, but ultimately it's good enough to actually get the ball rolling. Yet so many people will focus on like learning the exact right thing to say on a live while never really getting on a live. So again, it's the drama that is the bigger issue than the marketing. If we can solve the drama, the marketing ends up taking care of itself. It's actually quite easy, because then you're really just modifying what you're already doing. You're not having to push yourself to actually do it or get into these doom loops of like, why am I not doing it? Why am I so broken? Etc. Okay. And the other part of why this is hard is I don't think we oftentimes make the distinction of waking up versus growing up. So this is something that I learned. A good friend of mine, Dr. Tracy Debbie, you can look her up on Instagram, where she speaks about waking up as like the first part of healing, and then growing up is like where we solidify that healing. So waking up is what a lot of healing programs, coaches, teachers, healers do. Okay. They don't heal us. They basically guide us to heal ourselves. And oftentimes that comes in the form of having new awareness around something, having deeper understanding about why certain patterns show up, what is the root of them, where it is that they started, and oftentimes just recognizing the internal feelings, learning how to feel, which is a big one for me, and being able to unpack that in a way that's actually usable, to be like, hey, like I'm now aware of what this issue is. I now understand why this keeps happening. I'm not operating on autopilot. I'm not operating in my blind spots. And there's obviously tremendous value in that. The problem is you can wake up and not grow up. Okay. And this is something that's been an issue with me in the past, where I would just go deeper into trying to figure out the resolution. I would try to get a higher resolution problem. So here's what I mean by this. It's like, if I knew, so let's just say one of my big ones was the sentiment of being rescued, right? Like, I would always self-sabotage because I was operating under all of these false premises of, I have to be rescued in some way. Some coach is going to rescue me. Before it was my parents that needed to come to my rescue. That's just the pattern that I developed. I can use that information and decide to move on with it, Or I can keep doing more and more healing, more and more awareness of like, oh, so it shows up this way in my relationship. Oh, it shows up this way in my business. Or it shows up this way in my finance. Or it shows up this, and like on and on and on and on and on. At some point, I've woken up to the pattern. I then have to transition towards waking up. I have to transition towards growing up. Growing up is what you do every day with the awareness that you've gained from waking up. That is a practice much more than it is a like destination. Okay? The thing that you've woken up to is going to come at you with day-to-day circumstances. That is true. But oftentimes we have this onus of like, oh, I still have negative beliefs I have to break. I still have limiting beliefs I have to work through. Oh, I still have worthiness that I haven't addressed. I still don't trust myself fully. Once you're aware of something, the power of choice becomes, okay, I don't want this in my life anymore. So I'm going to choose, the thoughts, the actions, the feelings, and we're going to go deeper into this in more depth on other episodes. But it's like, if you always keep coming back to waking up type modalities, you never end up doing the process work day in, day out to actually grow up, right? Like no amount of deeper awareness is ever going to get you comfortable with going on a live other than going on a live and recording videos. Okay. That's just the fact of the matter, because they're two different things. Right? One is normalizing your nervous system's reaction to doing a particular thing and repeating that process long enough for your brain to be like, hey, this is actually dangerous anymore. It actually feels good because we get this feedback. We get stuff out of it. We feel good doing it. Now you've actually shifted. You've grown up from something that used to be a pattern that kept you stuck before. Okay. So when it comes to how do we handle this going forward, big part of normalizing is actually learning the skills day to day to grow up versus wake up. And they're a lot different. Okay. They're more to do with regulating yourself on a day-to-day basis to overcome that resistance, overcome the daily fear, overcome the daily patterns, overcome the daily habits, and deal with that to do the actions that are, aligned with the math piece, because the math is simple, the drama isn't. So how do you deal with the day-to-day drama becomes a big part of growing up. Okay. And that isn't a commonality in many approaches, at least at the time of this recording. Okay. So normalizing then really becomes focusing on playing the right game. Okay. So what does that mean? So the game of waking up is one where, you have a guide, you have a facilitator, you have a book, like whatever it is that walks you through, how do I unpack the things that are normally on autopilot and make them more conscious so I can do something with them. Okay, that is one game. That is a waking up game. The growing up game is a lot different. It is that day-to-day, how do I handle the resistance that comes up when I actually have to do stuff. Okay, so the first thing to normalizing is ensuring that you're playing the right game. So how do you gauge this on yourself? So when you look at what it is that you're doing day to day, are you focusing on learning more, taking more courses, getting more coaching, focusing more on strategies, learning the next tactics? Like, is that where your focus is, right? Like, instead of, I'm going to use it live again, but like doing it live and talking about what I know, am I taking that same 10 minutes and instead watching motivational YouTube videos, right? Like, that isn't actually quote unquote taking action. That is just perpetuating the need to continuously grow up. It is playing that game to a higher resolution. You already know what the issue is, so you need to play a different game, right? So is it the game of more, or is it doing better with what you already know, what you already have, what's already in front of you? oftentimes that's the game that normalizing 10K coaches need to know, like need to do more of, right? In that similar vein, is your focus, is the game that you're playing one where you're just trying to press the gas more, right? Like, I just need to know, and I just need to do more conversations. I just need to put out better marketing. I just need to do, more healing. I just need to get better as a coach. And there might be truth to all of those, but it also might be true that you're just pressing the brake on a lot of the stuff you could already be doing, right? Like, if you spend half of that time that you're spending in these doom loops, half the time you're lost in the drama, simply doing whatever the next right step is, even if it's not the most optimal step, but it's a step. I reach out to somebody, I follow up with somebody, I go out and, I do a live, I message somebody else, I pitch maybe going on a podcast, like whatever the next thing is, it's probably going to yield more tangible results than the more of the wrong game. So that's the part I would encourage you to take a look at, like, what is it that I'm doing? Where is my focus actually been? Okay. And this final note, right? Is it really marketing and business, or is it personal? Like, what is the actual issue here, right? Are you trying to stabilize something that you haven't yet normalized? If you haven't normalized the capacity to handle doubt, then at every single stage of your business growth, because it repeats all the time, it is guaranteed, and future episodes are going to go deeper into why, but you're going to hit doubt, you're going to hit fear. It is guaranteed, it is certain, it is part of being human at every single aspect of leveling up. Every single time, guaranteed. So normalizing your skill set to handle that is going to be more important than knowing the best ad tactic out there. So that's what this whole process is about, normalizing before stabilizing. When you can become the person who has the skills, who thinks, acts, and feels every single day in a way that's conducive and aligned with making 10K months normal, then the tactics, while they don't take care of themselves, actually have the best chance of working. You have a clean slate that is frictionless for things to just glide along and work. All right. So that is the normalizing 10K months notion, what it actually is, what it actually entails, and a very large kind of meta view. So if this resonates in any way and you want the notes, you want the screen share of this, you want to add your own notes, anything that you have heard me say, or want just bonus material of all of this for every single episode, I include that in 10knorm.com, so you can go there and download it. And I would say go through those last questions on what game are you playing, and see, is your attention actually being used in the best way possible. All right, that's all I got for you today. We'll be back here again very, very soon. Peace out. Bye.